Which TV cars will make our list for the smartest, most human-like TV cars of all time? Watch the video to find out. My Mother the Car comes in on our list at number 5 as one of the smartest, most human-like TV cars of all time. This show's car, a 1928 Porter touring car with a massive 30 horsepower, just isn't as cool and sporty as some of the other cars on this list. This makes the Beverly Hillbillies car look fast. But we're not here to talk about horsepower. No, this is about how smart these TV cars were, and you couldn't get any more intelligent or human-like than My Mother the Car. This car was bought by David Crabtree, played by Dick Van Dyke's brother, Jerry Van Dyke, and is inhabited by Crabtree's late mother. Yeah, well actually it's even sillier than that. The car is Crabtree's mother reincarnated. This show is historically known as one of the worst shows ever to be shown on television. It's probably the most famous show of all time to only last one season for just that reason. It's been the blunt of jokes from television shows and movies for decades. Whenever someone on television needs to compare a show to something bad or terrible, they bring up My Mother the Car. Is it really that bad? Well, no, not really. I watched it a few years back, and it's just as good as anything else from the 60s. I guess the point is really that once you get used to the kind of garbage that they have on television these days, you can't even tell if something's bad from the old days because it still comes out as a classic. Number 4 on our list is the 70s Saturday morning hit Wonderbug. Wonderbug was a live-action series and was shown as part of the segment of the Krofft Supershow. Now, Wonderbug appeared to be actually alive because he could talk sort of in a mumbling voice kind of thing, and he would be able to drive himself and act like a hero without the help of his human drivers. I guess if you had to compare him, he basically was Knight Rider, Speedbuggy, and Herbie all rolled into one. Wonderbug's powers seemed to be related to his magic horn that was on the side of the car. Sometimes he would lose the horn, and the teenagers that drove Wonderbug would have to get it back just in time for a Schlepp car to change into Wonderbug and save the day. The mumbling voice of Wonderbug was done by cartoon voice actor Frank Welker. He's the actor that does the voices of Fred and Scooby-Doo. Wonderbug was so human, he had eyeball headlights, and his bumpers were made to look like different facial expressions. Now, on occasion, Wonderbug would be replaced by a puppet to show off his facial expressions more effectively. Of course, I didn't notice that as a kid. I mean, hey, TV screens were really small back then. At number 3, Herbie is a lot more famous and remembered than our last 2 entries, but he barely makes this list as a TV smart car because, well, he's mostly known for his movies, not for his very short-lived TV series. When I say short, I mean short. It only lasted 5 episodes, and yes, I did watch it way back in the day. Herbie also had a TV movie on the World of Disney back in '97 that starred none other than Bruce Campbell. You know that guy that did all the Spider-Man movie cameos from the original trilogy. Well, anyway, the '82 TV series reunited Herbie with his original driver, Dean Jones, who had done a lot of Disney movies up to that point. It's sort of a mystery as to why it was canceled so fast. The show was broadcast as a mid-season replacement. It's possible they didn't originally intend to pick up the series, and everyone may have went on to other projects by the time it was even aired. But I do remember this show as it being pretty good at the time. Now, if you aren't familiar with Herbie, he's a racing Volkswagen Beetle that, for whatever unknown reason, is basically alive and loves to win races. He can do pretty much anything. He can jump, race, spit out oil slicks on bad guys, open his hood randomly, go on 2 wheels, and even drive underwater on top of water as the plot calls for it. In addition to his TV work, Herbie has been in 5 big screen movies that started out in 1968. The last movie came out in 2005, Herbie Fully Loaded. Now on to number 2. Speedbuggy, number 2. Speedbuggy is a dune buggy resembling the aforementioned Wonderbug. Of course, Speedbuggy came out first. But instead of a live-action series, Speedbuggy was an animation done by Hanna-Barbera. Speedbuggy talked just like any other cartoon character and was obviously self-aware and had very human-like eyes and a mouth. Speedbuggy, being a racing car, was pretty much a cross between Scooby-Doo and Herbie the Lovebug. Each week there was a different race and some bad guy to fight, with the 3 young characters that were similar to the Scooby Gang. Speedbuggy was voiced by cartoon legend Mel Blanc. Yep, the same guy that did the voice of Bugs Bunny and a lot of the other Looney Tunes characters. Even though the show only lasted 1 original season in 1973, the original series was reran over several different networks over the years, creating fans from one generation to the next. After the original series, Speedbuggy went on to be one of the many other Hanna-Barbera characters to star in the Laugh Olympics cartoon a few years later. Speedbuggy would also go on to cameo in Johnny Bravo, My Life as a Teenage Robot, something I've never ever seen before in my entire life, Invader Zim, also something I've never seen in my entire life, Animaniacs, Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, and Futurama. He's also starred in at least one of the new Scooby-Doo movie episodes of the early 70s, and Mystery Incorporated a few years back. He also did a cameo in the new Scooby-Doo big budget movie Scoob, and he's had some comic book appearances as well. In 2018, Speedbuggy was in a one-shot DC comic book with The Flash. And back in the 70s, Speedbuggy also had his own comic book series made by Charlton Comics. Number 1 is Knight Rider. Knight Rider's kit is the #1 smartest TV car of all time. Kit stood for Knight Industries 2000. He's an early 80s Trans Am operated by computer that for all intents and purposes seems to be self-aware. He has a good friendship with his driver Michael Knight, played by David Hasselhoff, something like the Lone Ranger in Silver, except Silver never talked. Speaking of voices, the actor that did Kit's voice was William Daniels. You might remember him from the TV show Boy Meets World. Now, Kit has a huge list of capabilities, too long to list. He can jump over cars using his turbo boost, which also allows him to accelerate super fast down the road. He has an ejector seat. He can communicate with other computers. He has the ability to control other cars in some limited capacity. Depending on the episode, he could drive on water, push through solid dirt, use a grappling hook to pull himself out of quicksand, and on and on and on. Now, originally, Knight Rider was NBC's answer for the Dukes of Hazzard. Several jabs were even taken at the General Lee in promotional material, and one first season episode where Kit takes on a '69 Dodge Charger that happens to look a lot like the General Lee. The original show ran from '82 to '86, and a reboot was done in 2008, turning Kit into a Mustang instead of a Trans Am. And that show only lasted 1 season, but it was pretty good in its own right. What do you think? Now remember, that wasn't exactly the best or the most popular cars necessarily on TV, but those were the smartest cars, the most intelligent. Otherwise, I would have had to list the General Lee either at 1 or 2. So please subscribe, hit that like button and the bell for future notifications, and please comment, tell us what you think about these cars we've listed on this video and any cars we might have forgot about. If you get a chance, check me out on Amazon.com under Tim Frady. I've got lots of books, different stuff. If you like funny stuff, I've got Caveman Comics. It's fun for the whole family. Besides Caveman Comics, we've got Monkey the Monster Man, Subliminals, stuff that you can let your kids read because it's not going to try to brainwash them into woke politics or anything crazy like that. It's just funny stuff that kids like. But don't take my word for it. Read it yourself first. Read it to your kids. I think these days parents need to read, or parents and grandparents need to read everything first before they let their kids read it. If it's labeled for kids, it doesn't matter. You need to read it yourself, I think. That's just my opinion. And then I've got good old-fashioned action, adventure, science fiction novels that I've written called The Time Cruisers. If you like that kind of stuff, please check it out. Thanks a lot. Oh, have a great day.